It's an original 6 matchup in Boston as the Blackhawks face the Bruins, and we've got some lineup changes to report. Join us for the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show coming up next. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Mario Tirabassi. Sarah's here running the show. As always, we've got the Hawks and Bruins coming up at the top of the hour. Should be fun. Original 6, 4 games left. Why not? Let's do it. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And before we go any further, why don't we take a moment to hear from the Blackhawks head coach, Anders Sorenson, courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Like Arvid in net?
Yes.
What were the D pairs? We were having trouble with that.
Well, we've got a little illness going around, so they're a little bit mixed up. But you got Vlas and Rinzel are together, and now it's going to be Deli with. I have to think now, because now Murph is out too. So Krebs is going in with Korch.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Deli with Artie.
Okay.
That makes sense? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Murphy and Kaiser who are sick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we saw Nathan on the top power play unit. What are you hoping that he brings to that?
Just his game, right? He's been good. He's been forward-wise one of our most consistent forward here, and he can help a little bit on the face-offs on that side, and he's been good in the bumper before. So yeah.
I know he's been good in the breakouts as well. Is that an area that you hope to use him and on that unit specifically, or?
Yeah, he definitely brings some pace, right? So he'll push teams back. Yeah. Yeah.
And Del Mastro, you have a little bit less now. What do you hope to see from that pair, and what have you seen from Del Mastro lately?
I think Deli's been consistent. I think he's been doing some really good things. We've had a little bit of a numbers game here lately, so we'll give him an opportunity here to come in and play with Artie. They've played together before in Rock for a little bit, and he's a steady influence on whoever he's playing with. So just do his thing and be solid together.
How do you hope the young guys respond from Tuesday?
Well, I think we've had some conversations about it, right? I think we all saw it. The first period, we looked really, really good. And then wheels came off in the second and third, and I think we all know the reasons why, and so clean those areas up.
Bedard was saying that the guys he's paired with, Moore and Mikheyev, are obviously a little faster than him, and it's an adjustment. But, when you have that much speed around you, like what adjustments does a playmaker like him have to do?
Let the puck do the work. Puck's faster than the skaters, right?
Yeah.
So move the puck, give and go, let them go, right? Give it up and go, right? Because those guys are fast. So if he uses his line mates, which he's usually good at, we saw that at home when he set Mickey on the breakaway, right? Puck's fast. Let's use it.
You also say you like to be a little faster this summer. Is speed kind of the end-all, be-all with this game, or is it more nuanced than that?
You mean overall for the game? Or yeah, I mean, I think that's where the game is going. I mean, you watch top teams, they're all fast, right? A lot of pace in their lineup. But, I mean, there's way to play fast, even though if you're not McDavid fast, right? I think a lot of it is up in you can play fast without being a super fast skater if you're smart. Connor is smart, so he can still play fast without flying around 100 miles an hour. Yeah.
There is Anders Sorensen, right? Courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks. So he mentioned some illnesses going around. Let's take a look at the lines for tonight's game. Connor Bedard is centering Oliver Moore and Ilya Mikheyev. Frank Nazar between Teuvo Teravainen and Tyler Bertuzzi. Ryan Donato with Philipp Kurashev and Nick Foligno, and Joe Veleno with Landon Slaggert and Pat Maroon. Your scratch up there is Lukas Reichel. Your D pairs, Vlasic, Rinzel, Korchinski, Crevier, Del Mastro, and Levchinov with Arvid Soderblom in goal. So you have Connor Murphy and Wyatt Kaiser sick, missing this game. So Crevier back in.
Yep.
TJ Brody will never play another game.
Well, he didn't go on the
Oh,
road
that's right.
trip,
He didn't make the trip.
He didn't go on the road trip. He's
Still.
Yeah. Well. Oh well.
They could have choppered him in.
Yeah. Well, they didn't.
Oh my God. I did not even.
I thought you were.
I should not have said. I was not making a joke about that. I'm sorry. I just completely.
I thought that's what you were.
Was not doing that. I was like, why did he react that? Okay.
Louis Crevier is back in. Good for him. He is the elder statesman of the defensive corps tonight.
That's insane.
At 23 years old. And as much as we're just like, oh, Alex Vlasic, do you feel like a veteran? He is the veteran of the defensive group tonight.
Does,
so that'll be fun? Question mark to watch the defense.
I'm in.
It could be.
Yeah,
at least they're all young. That's what we've wanted, right? So right.
That is what we wanted. I don't know why Reichel has to sit. I guess you're going to get Maroon in here for the past few games of his career.
He was like a non-factor in the last game. I think if you especially in the game where it's the team players only meeting after the game, and from some accounts it was more yelly kind of. If you're talking about you got to have the buy-in every game and you got to play to the end of the year and keep that emotion up and be engaged in everything, and you have a goose egg stat line, you're one of the guys that might be feeling the repercussions of that.
Yeah, he had, and I will say this, while the scoring hasn't been exactly what we wanted for to be from Reichel, he had not had many of those games like he had last year where it was just zeros across the board. Mm-hmm. He had that last game. And that's a little concerning coming off the cell phone gate
forgetting your charger
incident where he forgot his charger and then slept through a meeting and then was scratched as a punishment, correctly so. But you'd think your response to that would be a little more than zeros across the board. And again, we talked about it post-game too. The score was 5-0, but the shots, the high danger shots, the chances were all even. So it's not like they were just getting hemmed in deep the entire game. Lukas Reichel should have been able to generate something. And if he's not getting the message that roster spots now are becoming less and less available for him, I just don't know if he's ever going to get it.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen the flashes of the talent there, but it's the consistency. And I think, he got the opportunity to go up in the lineup off the fourth line and then misses the meeting and is playing catch up again. So with Pat Maroon at the end of his career now, these last few games, I definitely think he's going to be in the lineup on Saturday. And if it comes down to scratching Reichel again, I don't think Anders Sorensen has any problems scratching. He's done it a bunch. So, I mean, it gives you a little bit of, puts a question mark on what happens next year because he is still under contract. And who knows? I think the way this roster is starting to shape up, the way that some of these prospects are getting here and hitting the ground running. You got two guys playing tonight that their seasons might end by the end of the night with Ryan Green and Aiden Thompson playing for Denver and Boston in the Frozen Four. Those are two guys that likely are signing as soon as their college seasons are over, and it could be quickly. So, the roster competition, the competition for spots in the lineup is heating up, and Reichel, you don't want to just keep kind of falling back to the middle and then to the bottom because then you're going to be surpassed.
Well, it's, I think the signs are all there that this is going to be the end of his tenure here, and maybe they move him at the draft, maybe they throw him into a deal as a sweetener or something like that, but he's rarely been able to work his way off the fourth line when he's in the lineup. The offensive production hasn't been there, and you can do the old chicken or egg thing and say, well, he's been stuck on the fourth line with Pat Maroon and Craig Smith and Joe Veleno all season, but he also hasn't earned an opportunity to go play anywhere else and play at a higher level, and it feels like when those opportunities come, like it did before the cell phone incident, the game before, he was with, what was he with, Moore and Nazar?
It was, I think it might have been Moore and Kurashev, I think, because it was on that third line.
Yeah, it was, anyway, it was not the fourth line.
No.
And as soon as he gets that opportunity, he screws it up with an off ice thing, and it's like, buddy,
yeah.
At some point you have to kind of. Skill is one thing. If you can't be depended on, that's something that teams and GMs and coaches look at too. Look, you could have all the talent in the world, but if I can't count on you to be at a meeting or to show up night after night or to, get the message that, hey, you just got a promotion,
right,
and now you're immediately throwing it away, that's the sort of stuff that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, that when you wonder why players like that find themselves in a doghouse, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it just, with more and more young players joining this roster, I think he's going to be on the outside looking in. And honestly, if he can't be a regular player on the Blackhawks,
I mean, I think there's probably some maturing needing to be done as far as like being a professional. I think that could be something. And I'm not saying that's because, he's missing a meeting, he's a problem or anything like that, but I think there's some like consistency, some effort, some buy-in that you're going to need, whether it's here or elsewhere. Like, you're going to need that to be part of your game. And we've seen that from him at times this year where the efforts have been really good. Even if he's not putting up points, like, he's getting shot attempts, shots on goal. He's playing with speed. He's trying to create offensively. And he's also, showing a commitment to playing at both ends of the ice. Like, even in games where you're not producing points, if you put in those efforts and, you are a net positive with the little things, that's good. And that's going to help you make those, win those little battles that allow you to win a big battle eventually. And there have been flashes of those games, but it's just when you're talking about, oh, there's flashes here, there's flashes there, that's an inconsistent player. And I think there might just be some consistencies to the game, the way maybe, and I don't have any insight on this, but could be the way he prepares, could be the way that he handles himself during practices, during video sessions, how he takes those lessons or criticisms or whatever. Like, it just seems like there's just something that is not having all the dots connect to where the talent is able to, rise to the top.
Well, and Pat in the chat says, if anybody thinks Reichel has had a fair shake, I have a bridge to sell, but I definitely advocate for his departure. I don't know how, like, they have no reason to not give Lukas Reichel a shot if they feel he's earned it. Lukas Reichel succeeding would be a huge bonus for the Blackhawks. They want him to be good.
Yeah.
He was a first-round pick, and no, he was not drafted by Kyle Davidson, but I don't think Kyle Davidson's the kind of guy that's going to be like, he's not mine, get him out of here. If he's a good player, he's a good player. You also had Andrew Sorenson, who knows Reichel better than anybody. You coached him in Rockford on all those roller coaster up and down trips between Chicago and Rockford. He's going to give him a chance if you feel he's earned it. And all we've heard from every coach that's coached Lukas Reichel has been the inconsistency is inexcusable. Mm-hmm. And I think you can expect inconsistency from young players. There's going to be off nights, there's going to be off games, but it seems like when you talk about Lukas Reichel, that is the main characteristic, is that he is a guy that can't be counted on to show up every game or every practice or every meeting or whatever it might be. There's more to it than what we see from opening whistle, the final horn in an NHL game. And I think if you read between the lines and connect the dots, you'll see that something is amiss with Lukas Reichel, and everyone in the organization kind of sees it. And Jem says maybe Lukas Reichel needs a fresh start. Maybe. I think he could certainly use that. It wouldn't hurt him at this point because it's becoming more evident day by day that he doesn't really have a spot here.
Well, and he's been given opportunities over the last 2 seasons to play with Connor Bedard, play up in the lineup. He's been on power play units and all that stuff, and it just hasn't been able. He hasn't been able to stay in those spots. Hasn't been able to excel in those spots. So then they bring him back down to the fourth line, where then he plays well for stretches of games. And it's just, it's hard to pin him down as to what he can be because you don't see it for long enough times to have faith that it's just like, that's the player he's supposed to be. Like, it's just inconsistent. But I'm very interested, as we heard from Andrew Sorenson talking about speed. maybe the two, or at least two of the three fastest players right now on the roster, Oliver Moore and Ilya Mikheyev, playing on the top line together with Connor Bedard. That's going to be interesting. That is, I feel like, going to be a challenge, not in a difficult way, but just like presenting a challenge to Connor Bedard of like, this is the speed of the game that, the team wants to play with. And, how does he fit into that, knowing that he doesn't have that gear that Mikheyev and Moore do? I'm going to be interested to see how it works. And if it's let those two go straight lines up and down the wings and have Bedard create down the middle, that might work.
Yeah, it's cool to see Moore get this chance because, we've all kind of been, that's kind of the guy we're not really sure, like, what is he going to be at the NHL level? Yes, he's got a lot of speed, but he, in college, was not really in a top-line role all the time at Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
More of a third-line checking winger with some scoring punch kind of a thing. But you don't know how a game's going to translate in the NHL. And you also, rosters are built a certain way in college. So to see him get a chance on the top line last game and then keep it for this one, it's exciting. And, he has a 2-point game under his belt already.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Like, now's the chance. It's like they said, now is the time to evaluate who's ready for next year, who's not. That's step one of getting your offseason plan together. In 4 more games, they're going to say, okay, here's what we know. Here's what we think we know. Here's what we're still unsure about. With that information, here's what we need to fill in. And I think Oliver Moore has a good chance to make himself a strong argument to be part of things next year. I don't expect him to begin the season in Chicago. That would really surprise me. But stranger things have happened. And I don't know, maybe the Nazar plan is the thing for him.
Yeah, it could
where
be.
He goes down, has a really good start in Rockford, and they basically just say, well, you can't hold him down any longer or be negligent, and then call him up. But it's cool. I'm happy and excited to see him get this opportunity.
Yeah, and do it now. This is the time to do it. You're playing a Boston team that is falling down the standings. They're out of the playoffs. It's not it's not the Boston team that we've seen the last couple of years. So this is the matchup to do it, because your final 3 matchups of the year are playoff teams: Winnipeg, Montreal, and Ottawa. So if you're going to give some guys an opportunity to, have some tougher matchups, have some more responsibility, get some more, some more minutes on the ice, doing it now makes more sense than doing it against Winnipeg, because yes, that's part of like the push, the challenge, but also don't throw someone into the deep end and then also here's a 50-pound vest. Like you can throw them into the deep end and be like, okay, you can handle this, and see what they can do. So yeah, I'm excited for what Oliver Moore can show tonight. And Mikheyev's been on a heater, so that hope that continues.
That's just looking back on it too. Like, what a great find Mikheyev has been, and it took him a while to kind of get his legs under him and find his place here in Chicago. But final third of the season, he's been one of their better and most consistent forwards. Mm-hmm. He's been awesome. And speaking of the youth, Tyler in the chat says, is Renzel going to skip the AHL? We don't really know that, but when Frank Zaravalli reports Hawks news, I would kind of think of that as the human version of Kyle's burner. Right? Like, kind of feels that way.
Yeah, maybe. It's nothing is set in stone. But the way that he's been playing, like, it's been a really impressive 5 games, making the jump to the NHL, and just kind of have to see how things shake out with training camp. That'll be his first training camp, in the NHL, and just kind of see how things progress over the summer. Probably going to be hitting the weights. Probably going to be hitting Portillo's a little bit more often.
Same.
And just kind of see, how he comes into training camp and plays through the preseason, and that really is going to be, the indicator, and what they do with the offseason moves. Like, if they're going out there and getting a veteran defenseman, then maybe that is a guy who, we're really impressed with how you jumped into the NHL, but we're going to still ease you into things. You go to Rockford, and then it could be the same thing with, like we saw with Nazar, as you were saying with Oliver Moore, could be something where it's just like you've dominated and it's clear by December.
Yeah.
You're well above playing in the AHL. Who knows?
I keep thinking about that and the possibility of signing a defenseman. And I know no one wants to go like the retread route again, like the Alec Martinez thing or the TJ Brody thing again. But at the same time, like, I don't know how much I want to tie up a lot of money in a guy either. It's kind of a weird.
I'm only doing it if it's a guy that's going to contribute beyond 1 or 2 seasons. Like if it's Ekblad or if it's, who was the other top guy? Neil Pionk.
Yeah.
Like even that, I'm just like, maybe. But that's really all that I'd be willing to do, like more that I'd be willing to like really invest in.
How about, well, I feel like Dmitry Orlov, who's 33, is probably going to get, he makes 7.7. I feel like there's another big deal coming his way. He's been really good. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, because I don't want to go super long term on anybody either, because you don't want to block a roster spot. That's kind of the concern there. So,
yeah,
but Ekblad is not going to sign for. I wouldn't imagine Ekblad at 29 is looking for a 3-year deal.
No,
but who knows? I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of guys that would make the team better, but
yeah,
I'm interested to see. And this is exactly why they're doing what they're doing now, is to get a full analysis of who they think is ready,
right,
and to go from there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. A little bit of news. I saw Deadhawk posted this in the chat, and we appreciate the heads up. It looks like Brock Boeser, who is one of the names we've mentioned as a free agent target for the Hawks, basically says he does not expect to return to the Canucks. This is a quote from Boeser via Sportsnet. Honestly, it's unlikely at this point. It sucks. It's unfortunate. I'm just trying to play good hockey, and then I'll worry about everything after that. We all know it's been a roller coaster of a year. There's been a lot of different things. So, yeah, that whole ship seems to have sailed on Brock Boeser re-signing in Vancouver. So add him to the list of potential Blackhawks targets.
Yeah, absolutely. We've kind of felt the tea leaves were saying that he'll probably be on his way out either way. And so he's been a guy that we've talked about a lot. So seems like now more than ever, it's pretty much a guarantee he's going to be on the market this summer. So that's definitely a guy that, go out and target. It's if he's your plan B to landing the big fish or making the big splash trade, you could do a lot worse. So I'm definitely on board with Kyle Davidson reaching out and seeing what Boeser could do, because he's a guy that you plug into your top 6 immediately on this group and make your team better.
All right, I got a prediction for tonight.
Okay.
Pat Maroon fights.
In Boston. He's...
Sam
he didn't have a... Yeah. Nice. He didn't have a long period of time in Boston, but... Right?
I don't think it matters. I think it could be the Arizona Coyotes out there, and he would fight.
That's true.
Which would be news. But
he'd be fighting random people.
Yeah, I really think that... I think that he will fight before the second TV timeout.
Well, if we know anything, Pat Maroon pays attention to what we say, all of us. And so if he heard what I said after the game the other night, that if he was in the lineup, he would have recognized the team needing the fight and would have thrown down. Maybe he says, hey, I like what that Mario guy had to say. I'm not going to yell at him. I'm going to listen to him, and I'm going to drop the gloves.
There you go.
Maybe that'll happen.
It's exactly what they needed. It is exactly what they needed, but you didn't want to change the lineup after a good game. So I just want to see, after a players-only meeting, a response.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about over the last few days, and if you missed it, Alex Vlasic was on the show yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Sort of talking about it, and the attitude around the entire players-only meeting has been overall positive. Like, hey, it shows that guys are still invested, shows that guys still care, and now that you've got so many of the young guys on the roster, you need to remind them occasionally that, hey, we're not done. things still matter. And no, you're not going to get a playoff spot, of course, but you have to show up or you're going to get your ass kicked no matter who the opponent is in the NHL.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's this last stretch of the season is trying to set the standard and set the table for next season. So you can't have any slip ups just because this is the final handful of games. Like it's even as this season has been, you have to have a finish. You got to go through the finish line of 82 games. You can't, start slowing up at 79 and barely cross it at 82. Like you want to finish strong, finish with some pride, play for each other. Like it's all the cliches, but it's necessary for this group.
Just finishing strong and going into the offseason on a high note.
Win a couple games.
Yes.
Feel good about yourself.
I know it ultimately won't make a big difference, right? Like, well, the Hawks were good in 2025-26, and they owe it all to the strong final 4 games of the 2024-25 season. No,
it can't
but
hurt.
I think it just helps the vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think after a season this long, and it hasn't been for a lot of guys on this team, let's be honest, some have jumped in mid-stride.
Right.
To finish strong would be meaningful. And I don't know. That's what I'm
couple
hoping
wins
for.
in the final games of the season. You go into the off season, which is going to be long because it starts mid-April. But you at least go into it feeling like you maybe you won a couple games, maybe you put some doubt into the minds of some playoff teams heading into the postseason stuff. Like it's just those little things that like maybe you can take away and when you go to your cottage in Northern Ontario or whatever, you feel better about yourself because you finish strong.
Yeah, I think you could maybe argue too that they've sort of reached that despite the win-loss column. The games have been better, save for the last one against Pittsburgh.
Part, yeah.
So there's probably some decent vibes anyway, and we've been in the room now and again, and it doesn't seem like anyone's down or running out the door any more so than it was early in the season.
Right, yeah.
But I just to finish, just to not get your ass kicked for the last 4 games, even that would feel like a win.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll see. All right, join us for the post-game show. We want to tell you about a couple things here before we wrap up, though. Some cool stuff coming up this summer. We've got 2 golf outings on the docket, and you're going to want to join us for both. By the way, celebrity appearance at the one on August 22nd, the CHGO Kickoff Classic at Cog Hill. Mm-hmm. The great Charlie Romeliotis will be appearing
that's
and golfing
price
with
of
us,
admission.
as will former Madhouse podcast host James Naveau. Awesome. He'll be there at Cog Hill. And then the other event is the Cookout Classic, Friday, June 6th at the Village Links of Glen Ellen. That is an 8 a.m. shotgun start. All of these events can be purchased at allchgo.com. And, of course, if you're a diehard, you're going to save 20%. This is what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. When we have these events, when we have these golf outings, takeovers, watch parties, draft parties. Yeah, we've got that coming up on April 24th and 25th in 115 Bourbon Street.
2 weeks away.
You're going to save 20% on all of them. So no better time than now to become a diehard. Come golf with us. Come golf with Charlie. It's going to be action star-packed golf outings.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if Will Perdue will be there.
Maybe.
I want to see him golf. I've never seen a giant, tall person golf.
He's probably got some
Michael Jordan.
modified clubs.
Not in the flesh, though.
Michael Jordan?
Well, yeah, I was saying.
I mean, he's
seen it
conventionally tall, 6'6".
6'6",
but Will Purdue's tall. Very tall.
What is Will Perdue? 6'11"?
No, he's like 7.
He's
7
be close
foot.
to 7
Will
feet.
Perdue is officially.
I just saw him like
7
2
feet
nights ago.
tall.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's tall.
That's the next. If you get above 6'6", you're talking like extra tall.
Does he have to glue several golf clubs together to make it happen?
He definitely has his custom.
Yeah,
I would
they
imagine
gotta be
so.
custom. Yeah.
That'd be cool. I went to a wedding attended by Jason. We went to Tony Gill's wedding, and like Jason and the whole crew was there. But it was so funny to see Will Perdue on the dance floor of a wedding, because you see people's heads, and then there's Will Perdue like
above everybody else.
He can't hide from anybody. It was awesome.
Oh, that's great.
So hopefully he shows up. But yeah, join us for either golf outing coming up this summer. June 6th, the Cookout Classic at the Village Links of Glen Ellen, or August 22nd, Cog Hill, course number 2 for the CHGO Kickoff Classic.
Sweet.
These are awesome. Let's do it. We'll see you there. And we'll talk to you post-game on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, powered by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.